Okay, it is Tuesday, 2 December 2014 at 7 p.m. and I'd like to call the regular Board of Trustees meeting to order for the Village of North Hudson. And then we'll have a short invocation. I know, Father, that our nation needs you now more than ever. I pray today for our leaders. Open their hearts to your word and to your will. Please give us a reawakening to you, to your ways, and to your purpose for our country. Restore to us the knowledge of principles upon which this nation was founded. Roll call, please.
Amen.
Trustee Anderson?
Present.
Head? Absent. O'Brien Berglund?
Here.
Standiford?
Here.
President Wecken?
Here.
Trustee Zappa?
Okay. And item number 2 is review of the improve the minutes from regular board meeting for 6 November.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting from November 6, 2014.
Thank you, Colleen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Roderick. Any discussion, corrections? All in favor of the minutes as approved, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, comments from the floor, opportunity for residents to make the board aware of topics, issues, opportunities either on or not on today's agenda. And if there's nothing on that, item number 4, we had one of our trustees resign, Paul Rohde. I'd like to publicly thank him for his service, as he does not have time to help fill his position. And I have a volunteer, Mr. Kirk Nelson, is volunteered to step into to fill this spot for the next 4 months, and he said he would run for the upcoming election in April. So at this time, I would like a motion to approve the nomination of Kirk Nelson.
I motion to approve.
Thank
the
you,
nomination
Roderick.
of Kirk Nelson.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. Any discussion? All in favor of Kirk Nelson filling the vacant spot, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. Now, we will have the clerk give the oath of office.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kirk Nelson,
I, Kirk Nelson,
having been appointed to the office of village trustee,
have been appointed to the office of village trustee,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I'll support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially discharge
and faithfully and impartially discharge
the duties of said office
the duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Have a cracker.
Okay.
And you get this official book.
Thank you.
There's the agenda, and then everything's divided up there.
Okay. Item number 5, update St. Croix County Economic Development Corporation. Bill Rubin is with us this evening, and Bill, if you would step up to the podium and let us know what's happening.
Is it on? I think so. Good evening. Thanks for having me on this cold and dark evening. Apologize for not being here at your November meeting. There was something that came up with the family, and that required my attention, so thanks for having me this evening. By way of an introduction, my name is Bill Rubin. I serve as the Executive Director of St. Croix Economic Development Corporation. It's a position that I've held since April of 1996. I know a number of you on the village board. I see many of you around town. Matter of fact, I got to know village president a little bit. I think it was the Thursday or Friday going into Labor Day weekend when we had visitor from Madison come up and spend some time at the government center, and then spent the balance of the day looking at a variety of projects and so on. And prior to her arrival, I got to visit a little bit with the village president. In advance of the meeting, I think everybody got 3 or 4 slides. I'm not going to necessarily read them verbatim, but the first one, every good organization has to have a logo, and so about 14, 15 months ago, we rolled out our logo. It's got a little bit of a wear to it. We're hardworking. There's a gear, there's a spot on the state of Wisconsin that shows St. Croix County's placement, and that pretty much incorporates our logo. And just like every good organization having a logo, every good organization has a mission statement. That would be the next slide. Again, I'm not going to read it, but I will emphasize a few of the major points of public-private partnership, collaboration, leadership, and what do? We expand and diversify the economy of St. Croix County through what? Capital investment and the retention, expansion, and recruitment of business and industry. And just a couple of footnotes. So public, St. Croix County is by far and away our largest member contributor. We're just like a chamber of commerce. In the eyes of the IRS, they would view a chamber and St. Croix EDC as a business league. So comprised of a diverse set of members organized to improve the business climate within a service territory. Our service territory just happens to be all of St. Croix County compared to, say, the Hudson area chamber that might have the zip code of Hudson in mind or might splash across the river and so on. So the private part of our organization, again, just like a chamber, we go out and sell memberships. So attorney firms, engineering firms, general contractors, utility companies, bankers, and so on. Subscribe to what we do, so we go out and sell memberships, and the IRS, again, provides some level of a deduction on a federal tax return. We are not a charitable organization, so it's not a complete write-off, but the membership fee is viewed as a trade or a business expense. So again, there's a little bit of an incentive to become a member of St. Croix EDC. One of our directors is a marketing guy, and he said that we should probably have some unique selling qualities and so on. And so the next slide is what you would see as a reoccurring theme on our website and other material, that we provide business and industry with an ideal combination of 3 things. An attractive setting, you can't beat this area. Major metropolitan appeal, we are, for better for worse, part of the now 16-county metropolitan statistical area. There were 3 new counties that were added March of 2013. If you can picture in your mind's eye, Mille Lacs, goes all the way up to Mille Lacs now, county, and then Sibley and LeSueur, which is approaching, well, not quite Mankato, but those are the 3 new Minnesota counties, and then, of course, the 2 Wisconsin counties, Pierce and St. Croix. And then we also provide favorable business conditions, and that can be locally, that can be across the county, that can be the state of Wisconsin. A couple more things. You know, we do a lot of things in collaboration with other organizations. So we don't lend money. That's a little bit of a misnomer. So folks think that we lend money, but in reality, you know, we provide some level of assistance and maybe point the flashlight a little bit. So banks, the Regional Business Fund, which is a collaboration of about, across the region, there were 32 communities, counties, villages, towns, and cities that at one time had their own separate loan fund. And back in 2005, there was a region-wide a conversation about how to make that maybe a little bit more streamlined. And at the end of that conversation in mid-2007, those funds were consolidated into a single fund, and there was almost unanimous participation. There was, of the 32 communities, one, I believe it's in Barron County, chose not to participate, but St. Croix was in, City of Hudson, Town of Hudson, Woodville, Hammond, Somerset, and New Richmond all said yes to that proposition. We are aligned with the now Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. That's the former Department of Commerce. On occasion, we publish what I think is a pretty informative dashboard. It's a 4-page document that tells about what's going on with respect to the labor force, unemployment rate, home sales, and so just like a dashboard on one's car or vehicle, Sometimes that arrow is pointing in the right direction, sometimes it's steady, sometimes it's pointing downward, and so on. We also conduct a legislative day in Madison. That's coming up February 11, 2015. Again, given our distance to Madison, on a good day it's 4 hours. Given the fact that the region is such a growing region, there's a long list of wants and needs. Some of those were conveyed prior to Labor Day, Your Honor. We feel it's imperative to be in Madison at least once a year. And in communication, we can get the ear of a state senator from here just about any time, but equally important, it's important to get the ear of somebody from Milwaukee and Ashland and Platteville and so on. And so, 30 to 35 volunteers spend most of a day in Madison honoring 25-minute appointments with either state senators, representatives, or sometimes the gatekeeper, which is a legislative aide, and so on. We're all about expanding new business and industry, so we keep track of business park sites, available facilities, and so on. And then lastly, I think at the end of the day, what you could say about St. Croix EDC, much like a Chamber of Commerce, it's much about relationships and networking and so on. Folks you meet 2 years from now, you never know, what's going to lead to that conversation, and that held true yesterday. Somebody that happened to be, I've got my office in the Government Center, by the way. They happened to be in conducting business in the Community Development Department. He asked at the end of that conversation to talk to me. He looked vaguely familiar. I couldn't place him, but lo and behold, we did have a conversation about 6 or 8 years ago, and then it all kind of came flooding back, and now he's in a position where he's looking to start that business that he had talked about. So the last slide or handout is kind of our activities, core activities. We're heavy into marketing and communications. Businesses that are here, we want to retain those. So that's what business retention means. If they're here, we want them to expand. On occasion, we assist in business recruitment. We're also interested and support new business incorporations or new business startups, and then advocacy. So going to Madison would be a good example of advocacy work. In about this time of year, 1996, the river crossing got pulled out from everybody's wishes for about the first time, and there was probably 2 or 3 other times that we were kind of knocking on the door and it didn't happen. But to the extent that the Department of Interior and so on said you couldn't necessarily build a bridge, and again, given the protective qualities of the St. Croix River crossing, that still didn't make the need for a new river crossing. It didn't make those go away, those arguments and so on. And so it literally took that act of Congress to make it happen, and there were a variety of people at the forefront and behind the scenes that were advocates to make that happen. I will note on that note, and I regret to inform you, I failed to bring this document, but at the county board meeting this morning, there was a presentation by UW Extension, Madison. They were retained by St. Croix County to do a kind of a community and economic impact of the river crossing. So it was their best estimate as to what could happen based on kind of look backs at other projects and so on. And those other projects, one of them happened to be the Bloomington Ferry crossing in Shakopee and so on, that I think opened in the mid-1990s and so on. And so did they experience growth? Yes, they did. Did they experience increase in employment? Yes, they did. Did they increase population and so on? All of the above. And so the individual from UW Extension walked the group through that. I can tell you that there's another public presentation, I want to say December 16th at WITC New Richmond. But I promise to get the 14 or 15 page executive summary of that economic impact to the administrator for distribution. They did consider North Hudson as part of kind of that river crossing corridor area where, again, they did look specifically at the village, but they also looked at St. Joe and the town of Hudson and Somerset and so on, all the way to New Richmond as kind of that area of analysis. And with that, I think I'll stop and maybe make myself available for questions and so on. Again, I'm here just for discussion purposes, no specific request, and to the extent that I'm a resident of the community, I thought that it was important to get in front of you. And like I said, many of you I know. On occasion, there's new faces as a result of elections or vacancies and so on. Please know that I'm an advocate for new businesses and so on, and if there's an opportunity for me to help your staff and so on, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you very much, Bill. Is there any questions from the board? I hope you enjoy your cold, dark evening.
We'll make it.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the 2015 proposed budget, and the first part of that is open public hearing, and I would like to open the public hearing at 7:16. Next item would be, there's a presentation by the village administrator. Gloria?
Basically,
Yeah.
we've been through the budget several times, and I just want to highlight some of the items within the budget. After a series of budget meetings held by the Finance Committee and staff members, the budget is as presented. Some of the areas that we addressed during these meetings were increases in health insurance, snow plowing contract, maintenance of streets, staffing requests, as well as EMS, fire, and library agreements. The published budget had a $1,528,755 levy limit, which is $9,578 higher than what was being presented tonight. There was a couple of changes that happened after the last board meeting that I was not aware were going to happen. One was the two property owners from the shop yards opted to pay their special assessments in installment instead of in full. And so that reduced our line item for the special assessments, but it would have increased the levy. Also, shortly after that publication, an employee turned in their waiver of insurance coverage, and we were able to bring it back down to what had been presented to the board in the first place within $1. So always working to try to keep it as low as possible. The proposed levy is at $1,519,177 with a village mill rate of 4.44% per 100 of assessed or 1,000 of assessed value, and an overall mill rate of 16.17, which overall includes all of the jurisdictions, the county, the state, WITC, and the school, as well as the village. This $40,080 levy increase is within the allowable levy limit increase for the post July 1st, 2005 municipal or principal and interest loan payments on debt, leaving us an additional $28,461 of unused levy capacity. The village assessor has completed the revaluation, and many have received notices of their assessed values going down. However, this causes the mill rate to go up. With that being said, it's difficult to do a comparison of this year to last year. People have called and asked what this reduction in assessed value will mean for their taxes, and we're not able to give that unless we know what the specifics of, and once the levy's been approved, because you can't compare it to last year's assessed value because it's reduced, and then the mill rate's changed. It is anticipated that the unassigned fund balance will be $506,122 at the end of 2014, which is within the 25% of expenditures policy.
Thank you, Gloria.
Yep.
Okay, let's see, we don't have
We're in the public hearing right now.
Public
so-
hearing, so, now we have opportunity for public comments. So if there's public comments, Judy, Schultz is asked to speak. Please state your name and number so that the cameras and, folks at home can,
My name is Judy Schultz, and what do you mean by number?
the home address?
615 10th Street.
Thank you.
Well, I saw the proposed budget in the Hudson Star Observer, and I realized that I have not let you know that I personally I think that library services are very important. My husband and I are frequent users of the library. I hold meetings there for a Hudson board that I'm on. I've observed people using the computers there to find work over the past 4 years. Children and parents and many people on limited incomes utilize this resource. I asked some questions, and if I'm understanding it correctly, the 2015 library allocation is $2,200 lower than it was last year, or this year. So to give the library the same allocation as 2014 without raising any money for their increased costs for labor and insurance, we would need to at least, if we stayed even, it would be about $2,200. And I know that seems like a small amount, at least it does to me. But if I understand this correctly, the levy cap constrains what you can do. And quite frankly, I think it makes you have to choose between the library and potholes. It makes you have to choose between the stamps and the library. It makes you have to choose between raising salaries and the library, between picking up down tree limbs and the library. And finding that $2,200 is difficult. I think it's time for the citizens of our village to talk to our state representatives and senator about the levy cap. And if we get down to Madison, I think we need to talk down there too. Having to choose between potholes and the library is not acceptable to me. Most of us get at least a cost of living increase at some point. And I don't want salaries and health insurance for our staff to be impacted. I know you personally cannot do anything about the levy tonight. However, I'm asking you to pass a resolution to make up as much as you can on the $2,200 from any decreases in the budget for gasoline and asphalt that the village uses in 2015. I'm hopeful the gas prices will go down and it will impact that. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Is there any other comments? Hearing and not seeing any comments, I guess I move to close the public hearing at 7:24. Item 7 on the agenda is the resolution 2014-09, adopting the 2015 annual village budget and establishing the tax levy. Approval requested. We have a motion. We have one here someplace.
I think that could have been the motion.
Mark,
Mark,
moved
okay.
to approve the resolution.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Colleen. And the resolution, as it was discussed and stated, I'll just read the bottom end of it. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village Board of the Village of North Hudson, Wisconsin as follows, that the 2015 annual budget, a summary of which is attached, is made part of hereof by be and is hereby approved, that the property tax is hereby levied and be placed upon the 2014 tax rolls as follows. General Fund, $1,519,177. that the village administrator is hereby authorized to delete or create expenditure accounts and to reduce or increase the amounts reflected in the annual budget for such expenditure accounts through the transfer of funds between expenditure accounts within the various departments within the general fund, provided that the authorized expenditure limit of the general fund, exclusive of any contingency appropriations, is not exceeded, and the 2015 annual budget is not increased. This will be passed and adopted, providing the vote. Is there further discussion?
Yes, Mr. President, I have an amendment to present. I would like to present the amendment and explain the amendment once it's in front of the body. Mr. President, I move to amend the proposed budget by striking the line item under Culture, Recreation, and Education, which currently is $89,765, and inserting in lieu of the figure of $93,612. And then I would like to speak to that when it's in front of the body.
Okay, is there a second to Darrell's amendment?
I'll second.
Mr. President, the line item to which I refer is primarily the library appropriation. It is inclusive of some other minor figures. There are some park fees and some other things that are in there. But the figure that is in the proposed 2015 budget, inclusive in the 89,000, is a proposed amount of 84,962. The Village of North Hudson is 1/4 of the Hudson Area Joint Library. We have 3 other municipal partners, Mr. President. We are the 4th municipality to consider adopting our budget. All of the municipalities received a request for consideration from the Hudson Area Joint Library Board for consideration of a modest 2% increase in our 2014 appropriation. As we sit here tonight, all 3 of the other municipalities have considered that. 2 of the other 3 have not only approved the 2%, but frankly exceeded that. The City of Hudson and the Town of Hudson have both exceeded the request of 2%. The Town of St. Joe at least held status quo. In other words, no one reduced the appropriation as we are proposing to do. My amendment changes our budgeted amount to match the request of the 2%, hence the $93,612. Now, someone may raise the point that we are statutorily compliant if in fact we reduce, and that would be correct. The legislature last year did make a statutory adjustment in the ability of those municipalities that are part of a joint library to use the average of the preceding 3 years. The figure that is in our proposed budget is in fact that amount. But like many legislative actions, there are unintended consequences. And the change in the statutory language, which falls under Act 150, was intended to give municipalities that are part of a joint library some relief in trying to get back in compliance for those that are out of compliance with their respective county library levies, as the 4 municipalities here were. What was not anticipated nor intended by the change in the legislation is that there would be reductions. It was intended to ease potential increases. So even though we would be statutorily compliant, I think that we are irresponsible if we would adopt this action to our other 3 municipalities, all of whom have responsibly responded. And for us to then regress, I think puts us in an embarrassing position. So, Mr. President, I urge approval of the amendment, which would, in fact, match the request of the 2% and put us, in my view, in responsible compliance with our other 3 municipal partners.
Is there any?
What were the figures on that again? Would you run your figures on
The 93,612 would restore, would bring us back to the compliance to the level of 2014 and would increase the 2014 by the 2% that was requested. So the net effect is, instead of reducing by 2147, it would increase the appropriation that we had in 2014 by $1,700. So the net total cumulative effect of changing the budgeted amount would be 3847.
Well, I'd just like to comment, I mean, last year, the library, as other entities, is always, has been increasing. Last year, and I'd make a correction, the Joint Library Board did not approach this body prior to our budgeting. That was, the mayor of Hudson called me to discuss a possible 2%. Last year, in the same kind of discussions, they proposed a 3% increase, and then all of a sudden it came up to 5% increase. Now, we struggle in North Hudson as we don't have the businesses, we had our property evaluations decreased this year, and being that this is a 3-year average, if we do increase, if you keep increasing, it's always going to be, there's always going to be that increase. And frankly, with the not knowing how this evaluation was going to come out with the new property values, the finance committee believed that we would, as Judy stated, it's potholes and street repairs and other things that the library we are abiding by the joint library the funding as per that was agreed upon back when they made the joint library committee. So I'm honestly not, I could see if we can come up with, saving some throughout the year or something like that. I could, we could fund in another way, but to put this into the 3-year averaging, I can't support it.
Well, Mr. President, I'm not surprised, and I anticipated that you and I would be on opposite sides of this issue, and once we leave tonight, we'll still be friends. However, we are not being forced to choose, if this amendment is adopted, between libraries and potholes. We are not at our levy limit, and there are 2 ways that this could potentially be funded: an increase in the levy or use of unallocated funds. So the modest increase in the budget of 3847 is easy to accomplish if we have the fortitude to say that in respect of our other municipal partners, we think we ought to be as responsible as they have already proven to be.
Well, and I would say that back in respect to the municipal partners, back when the move to the new location of the library, 3 of the municipal partners all voted against the move. Hudson chose to go on with it without the benefit of the other 3 partners.
Well, I would agree with Daryl that it is worth supporting. I think it is a valuable asset to the community. And so I would be in favor of his amendment.
Any other discussion?
I'd just like to remind everybody, it doesn't, if this amendment doesn't pass, doesn't mean North Hudson doesn't support the library. We're talking about a marginal aspect of funds. And we're also, at least from where I'm sitting on this issue, is, and I've done this many years, and we've always shown the appropriate support for the library. It's a matter of working with our budget. And if I can extend that out to the notion that if the amendment doesn't pass, there's always next year. And we didn't get a presentation, not that it changes the facts, but the interest in the change wasn't formally presented. So from where I was sitting, I didn't see anything other than the request, or heard of the request from Alan from Hudson. Sometimes we have to go in our own direction here, in spite of what the other communities may or may not do. They have their individual situations to deal with. But again, I'm certainly not against the library. I don't think this board is. And while it may be sounds like an insignificant amount of money, we deal with a lot of line items that seem insignificant, that in the end total up to a number that we try to keep responsibly capped. So my position at this point in time for this particular year, considering the timing of it, I think the budget was set. It doesn't mean, I don't feel the board is against the library. I know I'm not against the library. It's just in view of increases, what we've had to deal with our budget process, which I don't see very many people help or witness what we go through to get this budget to where it's at. I'm content where our budget is as it was proposed.
And then one last thing, I mean, the joint library, I mean, right now, there's a lot of discussion going on about taking money from our joint library and giving it to 4 other area libraries, or, River Falls, and, I mean, so if we increase to give them more money to send to other municipalities, I don't get that. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll have a roll call vote. Roderick, on the amendment?
No.
Yes.
No?
No?
Yes.
No.
Amendment fails.
Mr.
No.
President, I have another amendment to present in view of the failure of that motion. I move to amend the proposed budget in the same line by striking the figure of $89,765 and inserting the figure of $91,912. And once that's in front of the body, I will explain where that reduced number comes from.
I'll second.
Mr. President, my amendment is intended to keep us at status quo. This does not authorize any increase, the merited increase for the library, but it does keep us at status quo, and it is not a regression from where we were at in 2014. It keeps the 2014 appropriation into 2015.
I've already stated my objections to the increase. We went through, the finance committee went through the budget, and the number that we came up with, we believe is good for all the residents of the village. And also, I mean, this isn't against the library, it's for the village, and that's what I believe our responsibility is too. Any other comments? So another roll call vote on the amendment. Kirk, we'll start with you this time.
No.
Yes.
No?
No?
Yes.
No.
Amendment fails. Any more amendments, Darrell?
No?
Okay, so we will now go to the resolution adopting the 2015 annual village budget, establishing the tax levy as approved by the Finance Committee and recommended by the Finance Committee. Let's see, we had a motion.
Yeah, there's a motion. By Mark, and I forgot who seconded.
And Colleen, I think, said.
And then you just want to call for discussion again.
Is there any further discussion on the original motion for, and levy? Hearing none. Roderick? This is for the levy as
Yes.
proposed?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Motion carries. Budget stands and will be published and sent to the county. Item 8, 2015 mobile home park license. Pamela Zappa, approval requested. Okay, is there a motion?
Approve the 2015 mobile home trailer park permit for Pamela Zappa.
Thank you, Colleen. Is there a second? I will second that. Is there a discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the approval of the mobile home trailer park permit for Pamela Zappa, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. New business from the board or staff. First item is president's comments. I have a few, to keep them short. It is the month of December, and I'd like to wish all the folks out there celebrating a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, and a safe and happy New Year. And in the spirit of Christmas, if you're still looking for a Christmas gift that's very inexpensive for those on your list, we have several copies of the North Hudson Centennial Cookbook. As you can see in front of me here, it is a very nice 3-ring binder, so you can add recipes to it, which we have done plenty of. It comes with its own stand so that one can set that on the counter so you can see what you're adding to your concoctions. And it's available through the office here for $10, and it's a pretty nice expensive gift, or inexpensive gift, that I hope you will help share with your family and friends. And that's all I have.
I have no comments, Mr. President.
Thank you. Melissa?
Individuals interested in getting on the ballot for the spring election can pick up the paperwork from myself. The first day to circulate nomination papers was yesterday, December 1st. The deadline to file all the paperwork with me is 5:00 p.m. on Tuesday, January 6th, 2015, and the spring election will be April 7th, 2015.
Thank you, Melissa. Let's see, that's anything else there? Okay, item number 10, Plan Commission did not meet. 11, Personnel and Finance Committee, item A, claims and approval requested.
Stan, can I move to approve the November 2014 non-recurring claims totaling $29,721.74?
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. Further discussion? Hearing none, and it's a spending item. Yay or nay? Kirk?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Okay, and next item, staff, 2015 staff vacation and compensation time carryovers, discussion approval requested. Motion,
Oh. Stan, can I move to approve the comp time and vacation carryover amounts for the as per our
Listed.
sheet? for the
Thank you, Mark.
respective staff members.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, and it's just a motion for that. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have several contracts getting ready for the new year.
And can I move to approve the letter of understanding for impound housing services between the Animal Humane Society in Woodbury, Minnesota and the Village of North Hudson for the period of January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015.
Second.
Thank you. Just one item that is new from, the administrator added, just for an FYI for the citizens. Last year, I'll read from his letter to us. Last year, we informed you of our intent to begin sterilizing and ear tipping and returning cats who are successfully living outside to the area in which they were found. Now that the program has been successfully implemented, we would anticipate that your animal control officers will see cats with tipped ears. We ask that you communicate to your officers to leave ear-tipped alone and not bring them into the shelter. These cats have thrived as a community cat and are not able to be placed into a home environment. The ear tip indicates that the cat has been sterilized. In the long run, returning cats to their environment is intended to stabilize and eventually reduce the stray cat population, thus reducing costs to the city.
How do they deduce returning a sterile cat back is going to reduce the population?
Well, they can't breed, I guess,
Well,
is their
I know.
theory.
But cats eat cats?
No, I guess they eventually die. Cats eat songbirds, which to me is, is another whole issue, but that's not the discussion. And we've had a pretty good working relationship with the Animal Humane Society. And I'm not sure how many feral cats we had. I don't think we have the issue that they have in Hudson and in their areas down there, but,
It's even more across the river where these people are
yeah.
doing most of their work.
Well, mainly because they're not allowed to capture feral cats and bring them in. They weren't before, and so they had to let them go because it was too traumatic for the cats. Now they've been able to get this implemented where the cat doesn't get euthanized because it's unsociable. It gets returned back to the wild.
Yeah. No more comments on that one from me. Okay, next item is Animal Warden Services, Kathy Pellner.
We vote on that? We need.
Oh, wait a minute, we got to vote on the, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Getting ahead of myself. Okay, animal impounding, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, stay with Woodbury Animal Humane Society. Okay, item number 2, Animal Warden Services, Kathy
Move to
Pellner.
approve the animal control contract between Kathy Pellner and the Village of North Hudson for the period of January 1, 2015 through December 31st, 2015.
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Colleen. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of renewing Kathy Pellner's contract with the village, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Just Gloria and Stan, one procedural thing, this only has Gloria's signature on there. It really should be Stan and the clerk who should sign a contract.
In the past, we have,
Is that with you?
right, because the board has authorized me
Which they can
to,
do, yeah.
to sign the
I guess we can
contracts.
just assume that since they've authorized this particular contract, that they've authorized you to sign it.
Correct.
All right.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, next is Building Inspector Brian Wirt.
Stan, can I move that the village administrator be authorized to negotiate and sign the renewal of a one-year building inspector / zoning administrator contract with Brian Wirt Agency for the term January 1, 2015 through December 31st, 2015.
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the building inspector negotiations to be handled by Gloria and the new contract signed, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Number 4, tree removal contract.
Stan, can I recommend the approval of the contract for tree and stump removal services with Tree, effective January 1, 2015 through December 31st, 2016, at a rate of $250 per tree, $55 per stump, and $375 per load.
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the suggested motion for the tree service, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Resolution 2014-10, revising the North Hudson fee schedule, approval requested. Resolution.
Stan, can I move approval for resolution number 2014-10, amending, a resolution amending the fee schedule for the Village of North Hudson?
Thank you, Mark.
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. Basically, there was only two increases that is in the packet, one for special assessment searches and the other for administration fees added to all permits. We just weren't getting the work done for the amount we were charging, so all in favor of the fee schedule change, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. E, hiring of one full-time public works employee, approval requested.
Stan, can I recommend hiring Dean Grizar as a full-time public works employee to fill the first of two open public works positions?
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of filling one of our public works spots, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Okay, number 12, Public Works. Our chair is not here. Mr. Ekblad, do you have any updates, or is there anything?
I believe the only thing that's remaining will be item B.
Okay, thank you. And item B is 2015 capital project surveying services for our, basically it's our Lakeview Pine Street project for next year.
I don't see a motion to stay on.
Comments, or did Kevin have any
Well,
comments on
we
it?
don't have to, we have to have motion stuff
It's in
first.
here
right?
Yeah.
somewhere. 'Cause I looked at it.
There is, we just have letter, we don't have the formal, but,
Yeah, Stan, can I move approval of the surveying proposal by Cedar Corp for the projects of Pine Street and Lakeview Drive, not to exceed $8,500?
thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. Kevin, would you like to make any comments, or just give us a little overview, or if there anything, or if there's any questions from anyone from the board?
Just real quickly.
Great.
So basically, something that we discussed at the Public Works meeting, obviously trying to get the surveying part of it completed before we get too much snow out there, so they asked me to put a proposal together for those two particular projects, and I think there's a copy that's been included as part of the packet, so guess you can open it up to any questions, but I guess that's what our first goal is, to move forward with the, with the project itself for next year, so.
Okay.
This will be a 2015 expense because it's budgeted for in 2015?
It will be, yep. You won't see a bill till next year, so.
Okay. Any questions for Kevin? Hearing none. Let's see, it's a spending issue, so all in favor of the motion?
You guys do a roll call on spending?
Yep.
Yeah.
All in or, yeah, okay, roll call. Kirk?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's carried, okay. Bring the lasers. I'm guessing that's what you use now. Okay, thank you.
We did not meet in December, Stan.
Oh, in December or November?
Oh, no. Did we meet?
We will not meet.
Oh, yeah, what am I talking about? Sorry. We did meet. I don't think we have anything on that. There's nothing to act upon from our meeting in November, Stan.
Okay. And
Safety?
This one? What's this one? Yeah. No.
nothing to update?
No, it's, the minutes are there. No, nothing that requires board approval or updating.
Okay, thank you. Number 14, Public Welfare Committee. There's not a lot to report there, I don't think.
Only the contract, and that's been done.
Yep, okay, thank you. How about Park Board Clean?
We did not meet.
Okay. And that brings us down to the last item on the agenda. Mr. Zappa?
Stan, I'd like to move to adjourn, please.
Thank you, and this meeting is adjourned at 7:56. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a Merry Christmas.